Seekers of truth in abundance, know this. Wealth is not a stranger wandering in distant lands. It is a faithful servant awaiting your command. The treasure you seek lies not buried in the earth, but sleeping in the silence of your own thought. To whisper to wealth is to speak to the infinite substance that fills all space, ever ready to take the form of your word. For every word you speak is a seed, and every seed knows how to bloom when spoken in faith. There is an invisible law that governs the seen and the unseen alike, the law of supply. This law listens not to complaint or fear, but to calm assurance. When you whisper, "I am rich in every good thing," the universe hastens to clothe your words with substance. It may come as opportunity, as inspiration, or as unexpected favor, yet it always comes by divine appointment. Wealth, like a loyal messenger, obeys the voice of certainty. Too many call upon wealth with trembling lips. They pray, but their hearts echo lack. They say, "I desire abundance," yet within they think, "It may not come to me." But the law does not respond to divided thought. It answers only to the word spoken in complete faith, the word that is charged with the vibration of knowing. The whisper that commands must be serene, confident, and full of expectancy, for whispering to wealth is not begging. It is declaring your oneness with the source of all. You are not a beggar before a distant power. You are a child of the infinite, heir to every good and perfect gift. When you speak the language of assurance, the very atoms of air rearrange themselves to fulfill your decree. Say not, "I need money," but rather, "Infinite substance flows to me in perfect ways," for need keeps wealth afar, while recognition draws it near. Every desire that stirs within you is the voice of the divine urging you to claim your inheritance. When you whisper to wealth, whisper with joy. Whisper as one who already possesses the thing desired. Whisper as a queen speaking to her servants, knowing they run swiftly to obey. The moment you command in faith, the unseen forces begin their march. The people, the opportunities, the ideas, all align in secret to carry your word into manifestation. Do not doubt the process when shadows appear. The darkness is but the soil preparing to birth your harvest. Speak your word and stand firm. The whisper you give today will echo through the corridors of creation until it finds its perfect form. Whisper gently, yet with power. All that is mine by divine right now rushes to me in perfect order. Say it until your heart thrills with the certainty of it. Wealth will hear you, recognize your tone, and come, quietly, inevitably, beautifully. For when you whisper to wealth and truly believe, it will find you. To speak to wealth with unwavering faith, not fear, is to enter into the sacred dialogue between the soul and the invisible power that shapes all form. Every thought, every word, every tone of belief you utter is a signal sent into the ether, and the universe, ever obedient, mirrors it back to you in kind. Faith is the golden key that unlocks the hidden treasures of life, while fear is the veil that conceals them. When one speaks to wealth, they are not speaking to coins, possessions, or fleeting symbols, but to the boundless essence of supply itself, the eternal substance that flows through all things, ready to manifest wherever it is welcomed. To whisper with faith is to know that the unseen is already yours, and to release all anxiety, doubt, and resistance into the nothingness from which they came. When you speak from fear, your words are hollow shells, and though they may sound the same in form, they are devoid of life. A fearful thought cannot create wealth, for it denies the very law it seeks to use. It says, "I want," which is the language of separation, while faith says, "I have," which is the language of unity. The one who truly understands the law never pleads or worries. They declare with calm assurance. Faith is not a loud proclamation, nor is it the noise of effort. It is the quiet knowing that moves mountains without strain. It does not beg the universe to act. It recognizes that the universe is already acting in harmony with the vibration of belief. To speak to wealth with unwavering faith is to send forth a tone that commands response from the infinite field of substance, just as a tuning fork summons a sympathetic sound. The great secret is that faith speaks from completion while fear speaks from lack. Faith stands upon the invisible rock of truth and declares what already exists in spirit. Fear looks at appearances and trembles. Yet appearances are but passing shadows, shaped and reshaped by the consciousness behind them. Every visible circumstance is a reflection of inner conviction. To change the outer, one must first shift the inner word, that silent, steady current of belief that runs beneath every spoken phrase. The one who whispers to wealth in faith understands that they are dealing with energy, not matter. They know that wealth is an idea, a living vibration, and that to attract it is to harmonize with its rhythm. When faith is pure, it does not waver in the face of delay. It does not ask when or how, for it knows those are questions of the limited mind. Faith knows that the unseen order of life is flawless, precise, and infinitely abundant. To speak from faith is to live in the consciousness of supply, not scarcity. One who speaks to wealth with faith does not chase opportunities. Opportunities begin to seek them. They have become magnetic because their words align with the truth that abundance is already flowing. The universe responds to certainty as a mirror responds to an image. Whatever tone of belief you hold within is instantly reflected without. Fear sends forth distortion, confusion, and delay. Faith sends forth clarity, attraction, and ease. The language of faith is simple but powerful. It says, "All things are mine in right order," and the law begins to move. It says, "I am richly supplied now," and the invisible substance starts to crystallize into form. The words are not mere affirmations, they are decrees. They carry authority because they are spoken from the realization of unity with the infinite. When you speak from fear, you separate yourself from the very source that sustains you. You place the power outside yourself, in conditions, people, or time. But when you speak from faith, you draw that power inward and declare your divine right to abundance. It is not arrogance to claim good. It is spiritual obedience. For the universe longs to express through you in fullness. To cultivate unwavering faith, you must train your thought to rest upon truth and not be swayed by appearances. Every time you give voice to worry, you water the weeds of lack. Every time you speak words of assurance, you nourish the garden of prosperity. The mind that constantly shifts between belief and doubt creates a field of confusion. The law responds faithfully, producing mixed results, half blessings and half obstacles. The disciplined mind, however, holds steady in the knowing. It whispers only words of increase, never of diminishment. It does not entertain the possibility of failure, for in the realm of spirit, failure is unknown. There is a deep stillness that accompanies true faith. It is not the restless energy of trying to make things happen, but the serene awareness that all is already unfolding perfectly. When you speak to wealth in that consciousness, your words become creative instruments. They are charged with a vibration of certainty. You might say, "Money comes to me easily and frequently," and if spoken with faith, the words are alive. They travel through the invisible ether, drawing into form the conditions that match them. But if the same words are spoken in doubt, with the undercurrent of disbelief, they carry no power. It is never the outer phrasing but the inner tone that determines the outcome. The universe listens not to the lips, but to the heart. To overcome fear, you must understand that it has no real substance. It is only misplaced imagination. It is the shadow of belief turned backward. When you feel fear, it means you are envisioning lack, limitation, or failure, giving life to that which you do not want. The wise soul redirects that energy, turning it into faith, by reversing the picture. Where fear says, "What if I lose?" Faith says, "What if I gain?" Where fear says, "There isn't enough," faith says, "There is abundance everywhere." The mind cannot hold two opposing thoughts at once. One must yield to the other. Each moment you choose faith, you dissolve a layer of fear, and your vibration becomes clearer, more magnetic, more aligned with prosperity. Speaking to wealth with unwavering faith is not about loud declarations or constant repetition, it is about alignment. When your inner word matches your outer word, you become a channel through which supply flows freely. You speak not from desperation, but from divine assurance. You are not trying to convince the universe, you are affirming what the universe already knows to be true. This faith transforms your relationship with life. Every transaction, every opportunity, every exchange becomes a mirror of your consciousness. As faith deepens, the need to control or struggle fades, and abundance begins to appear naturally, almost effortlessly. The soul that has learned to speak in faith no longer measures wealth by numbers or possessions, but by the richness of inner peace and freedom. For when faith governs speech, it transforms not only the outer conditions, but the entire atmosphere of thought. Fear may still knock, but it no longer enters. Doubt may whisper, but it finds no echo. The voice of faith becomes the ruling vibration, steady, luminous, unshakable, and through that vibration, wealth, in all its forms, responds with unerring precision. Your words are seeds. Plant only those of abundance. For every thought you speak aloud or silently send forth carries the pattern of creation within it. The spoken word is never idle, it is law in motion. Each word carries vibration, and that vibration summons form. Just as a farmer cannot plant thorns and expect roses, you cannot speak words of lack, complaint, or limitation and reap the harvest of prosperity. The soil of the universe is impartial. It gives life to whatever is sown into it. When you speak words of faith, gratitude, and plenty, they sink deep into that invisible field and begin to germinate in silence until the perfect moment of manifestation arrives. Words are not mere sounds, they are living energies clothed in emotion, guided by intention, and multiplied by repetition. Every word you utter is a command to the unseen forces of substance that surround you. You are constantly sowing. With every statement, every thought repeated in the mind, every casual remark made about life, money, or opportunity, the harvest you now behold in your circumstances is the result of seeds you planted long ago, consciously or unconsciously. Many wonder why certain patterns repeat, why lack seems to reappear no matter the effort made, but few realize that their own tongue has been their field of sowing. Words of doubt are weeds, words of fear are blight, and words of resentment are poison to the soil of prosperity. Yet at any moment the soil may be renewed through the deliberate planting of new, radiant, abundant thought. To plant only words of abundance is to become a deliberate creator of your reality. The wise soul knows that the tongue is the rudder that steers the ship of life. Each word spoken directs the course of experience, guiding the vessel toward either safe harbors of wealth or stormy seas of want. To speak abundance is to align with divine ardor, for the universe itself is endlessly rich, and lack is only the shadow cast by false belief. When you affirm that life is abundant, that opportunities are plentiful, that money comes freely and joyfully, you are declaring harmony with the truth of being. The soil of spirit responds instantly, though the sprout may appear in time. The creative power of words was known to the ancients, for they understood that the word carries the essence of creation. In the beginning was the Word, not as a phrase of poetry, but as a statement of law. The word is the first cause. Form follows speech. When one says, "I cannot afford this," that statement becomes a decree, and the universe organizes itself to make it true. When one says, "I always attract abundance," the same law operates, bringing forth evidence to match. The law is impartial and unwavering. It takes no account of worthiness, only vibration. Thus, it is not fate that determines wealth, but the consistency and purity of the words one plants. The art of planting abundant words requires both mindfulness and reverence. Every idle word carries power. Many speak casually of loss or lack, never realizing that they are planting seeds that will bear fruit in their own lives. They say, "Money doesn't come easily," or "I never seem to get ahead," and the soil, faithful and obedient, brings forth more difficulty and delay. Yet one who watches their speech as a gardener watches the soil knows that every phrase must be chosen with care. They speak not of what they fear, but of what they desire to see bloom. They say, "Money flows to me in perfect ways. All my needs are beautifully met. I live in a universe of endless supply." These are not empty affirmations. They are living seeds sown in the garden of the mind. To speak abundant words is to align not with illusion but with truth. The truth of existence is increase, growth, and multiplication. Every tree bears fruit. Every star radiates light. Every idea that springs from the divine source carries the potential for expansion. Lack is the denial of that truth, and when you speak words of limitation, you affirm the false instead of the real. Yet, when you speak of abundance, you affirm the eternal pattern of creation itself. You are not creating wealth from nothing. You are simply allowing the wealth that already exists in the unseen to flow through you into form. The words you plant become the channels through which that flow expresses itself. There is no mystery to the process once the principle is understood. The words you speak mold the substance of life into corresponding shapes. The mind holds the image. The word gives it direction, and emotion gives it life. When the three are united, clear thought, confident word, and joyful feeling, creation becomes inevitable. Therefore, it is not enough to speak words of abundance without conviction. They must be spoken with the tone of certainty, as though the harvest were already ripe. Just as a farmer plants in faith, knowing the seed will break the soil in its own time, so too must you speak in faith, trusting the unseen forces to bring forth your good. It is wise to examine the habitual language of daily life, for therein lies the secret of one's harvest. Do you speak more often of what is lacking or of what is fulfilled? Do you tell stories of struggle or of victory? Every conversation, every internal dialogue is an act of planting. When you catch yourself speaking words of limitation, gently uproot them and replace them with the words of truth. If you say, "I am always short on time," replace it with, "Time expands to meet all my needs." If you say, "Business is slow," replace it with, "Divine activity is now prospering all my affairs." Over time, these new seeds grow into new realities, for the universe cannot resist the vibration of faith-filled speech. The tongue, though small, governs destiny. It is both the gardener and the harvest, the sower and the reaper. Those who speak carelessly live amid the weeds of their own words. Those who speak with awareness dwell in the garden of continual increase. The wise soul chooses words as one would choose precious stones, deliberately, reverently, lovingly. They know that to say, "I am rich," is not vanity but truth, for riches begin in consciousness long before they appear in form. They understand that gratitude multiplies what it names. To say, "I am grateful for my prosperity," is to water the seed of abundance and hasten its unfolding. Every word carries a frequency, and that frequency attracts its likeness. Words of abundance carry the tone of love, peace, and confidence. Words of lack carry the tone of fear, tension, and doubt. The universe, acting as a perfect mirror, reflects back the vibration you project. Thus, if you wish to live in abundance, you must first speak abundance into existence. When you awaken each morning, your first words should be seeds of increase. Words that set the tone for your day and summon the invisible forces of good to move in your favor. To whisper, "Today I walk in divine prosperity, all things work together for my highest good," is to open the gates of plenty. It is not through striving or struggle that wealth appears, but through alignment. The words you choose are the bridges that connect thought to manifestation. They carry your desires into the unseen, where the laws of creation shape them into form. You may not see the process, but it is constant, infallible, precise. Each word of abundance plants a vibration that gathers its likeness. People, opportunities, ideas, and resources, all drawn together to fulfill the decree you have spoken. Therefore, speak with faith, with gentleness, with authority born of understanding. Speak as one who knows that the soil of the universe is fertile beyond measure, and that every abundant word you plant must bear fruit according to its kind. To recognize yourself as one with the infinite source is to awaken to the grand truth that you are not a fragment adrift in a hostile universe, but a divine expression of the same power that hung the stars in the heavens and set the tides in motion. The source is not distant, nor confined to sacred places, nor locked away behind rituals or doctrines. It lives and breathes within you as your very life, your very thought, your very being. To recognize this oneness is to step out of the illusion of separation that gives rise to fear, struggle, and lack. The moment you understand that you are not apart from abundance but an extension of it, every barrier to prosperity begins to dissolve, and the flow of divine supply rushes toward you as naturally as the river finds the sea. The infinite source is boundless, inexhaustible, ever-giving, and it operates through you, not outside of you. When you look upon yourself as separate, you place a veil between your desire and its fulfillment. You say, I must earn, I must strive, I must convince life to bless me, when in truth, the blessing is already flowing and only awaits your recognition. Every living thing draws from this one eternal substance, the flowers that open at dawn, the stars that shine without effort, the heart that beats without command. None of these labor to receive, they simply exist in harmony with the law of their being. To recognize your oneness with the infinite is to live as naturally and freely as these creations, trusting that the same law that sustains them also sustains you. The mind that knows its unity with the infinite does not plead for supply, it commands it with serene authority. It does not look outward for approval or support, for it understands that all outer manifestations are but reflections of inner knowing. The universe is a perfect mirror. It returns to you the image you hold of yourself. If you see yourself as small, limited, or unworthy, the mirror reflects limitation. If you see yourself as a divine center of power, capable of drawing all good, the mirror reflects abundance. When you truly recognize yourself as one with the infinite source, you cease to seek favor, for you realize you have never been outside the favor of life. The sun of supply has always been shining. It was only your belief in clouds that hid its light. This recognition does not come from intellectual acceptance alone. It is born of spiritual realization. To know the infinite with the mind is one thing. To feel its presence moving through your breath, your thoughts, your very words is another. It is to sense that every idea that comes to you for growth, every intuition that whispers guidance, every stirring of desire within your heart is the infinite expressing through you. There is no separation between the dreamer and the dream, between the creator and the created. When you affirm your oneness, you align yourself with the divine rhythm of increase, and all things begin to work together to fulfill your spoken word. Recognizing this oneness requires the relinquishing of false identity, the small self that says, I am limited, I must struggle, I am not enough. These are the illusions of separation that veil the truth of your divinity. The infinite does not know lack, fear, or limitation. It knows only perfect expression. When you identify with the infinite, you cannot think small thoughts, for greatness is the nature of your being. You cannot fear failure, for success is the law of divine order. You cannot cling to scarcity, for abundance is the only language the infinite speaks. To align with this truth is to let go of effort and fall into the rhythm of divine ease, where all things unfold by right of consciousness rather than strain. Each time you say, I am one with the infinite source, you affirm your identity as the heir of all good. These words are not mere affirmation, they are a declaration of truth. The I am within you is the same I am that spoke the universe into existence. It is the creative word that calls forth light from darkness, order from chaos, supply from the invisible. When you speak, I am abundance, you awaken that aspect of the infinite within yourself that knows only fullness. The power does not flow from outside to in, it radiates from within to without. You become a living magnet for all that corresponds to your consciousness of oneness. To live in this awareness is to walk in a constant state of divine confidence. It is not arrogance, but the quiet assurance that comes from knowing the law. You no longer fear the future, for you understand that the same power that sustains the stars also sustains your every need. You no longer envy others, for you see that their good does not diminish yours. It is proof of the same law at work in them. You no longer chase opportunity in desperation, for you know that the infinite expresses itself through right timing and perfect order. Everything that belongs to you by divine right cannot be withheld, and what does not belong will pass you by harmlessly. Such is the peace that comes from recognizing your unity with the Source. Every desire that arises within you is the infinite seeking expression. When you yearn for greater wealth, health, love, or success, it is not greed but divine impulse. The infinite longs to expand through you, to experience itself in new ways. Therefore, your desire is sacred, and the supply for it already exists in potential. To deny yourself the fulfillment of divine desire is to resist the very flow of life. When you say, "I am one with the infinite, therefore all that I need is mine now," you allow that potential to unfold without hindrance. The moment you claim your oneness, the creative forces begin to arrange themselves in precise order, drawing people, resources, and events to fulfill your inner decree. This awareness transforms the way you think and speak. No longer do you utter words of separation, such as "I can't," "I wish," or "I hope." You speak as one who knows, saying, "I have, I am, it is." Your words carry the tone of completion, not desire. You begin to act not as a beggar before the universe, but as a co-creator moving in harmony with the infinite. Every action becomes sacred, every thought a prayer, every breath a bridge between the invisible and the visible. Life becomes a continuous unfolding of divine order, each moment pregnant with supply, each challenge an opportunity for expansion. To recognize yourself as one with the infinite source is also to release all belief in opposition. There is no force working against you except the false belief that such a force exists. The infinite is one, whole, and complete. It contains no division, no conflict, no scarcity. When you see lack, you are simply witnessing the shadow cast by divided thought. The instant you return to unity, the shadow dissolves. The outer world adjusts to reflect your inner knowing, for matter is but condensed spirit responding to consciousness. When you dwell in the realization of oneness, fear fades, worry loses its grip, and the path before you clears with miraculous precision. You are not separate from the abundance you seek, for the source of that abundance is the life within you. You are the channel through which it flows, the vessel it fills, the expression through which it knows itself. The infinite cannot withhold itself from its own expression. It can only flow according to the openness of that expression. The greater your awareness of unity, the greater the flow of supply. As a window opens to let in more light, so the consciousness that recognizes its oneness allows more abundance to pass through. You are the open door through which the infinite enters the world of form, and your recognition of that truth is the key that unlocks every treasure house of life. To declare possession, not desire, act as if it's already yours, is to enter the creative rhythm of divine certainty, where the unseen becomes the seen through the quiet authority of faith. Desire alone is the beginning of creation, the stirring of divine intention within the soul, but until it is transformed into the feeling of possession, it remains incomplete, a vibration of longing rather than fulfillment. The universe responds not to want, but to knowing. It mirrors back to you the state of consciousness you embody. When you act as though you already have the thing you seek, you announce to the infinite that you are ready to receive, that you have accepted your inheritance as reality rather than distant hope. The one who desires may wait endlessly, but the one who claims already possesses. To declare possession is not arrogance, for you claim nothing that is not already yours by divine right. All that exists in form first exists in the unseen realm of substance, and that substance is infinite. The supply is already complete. Nothing is lacking but recognition. The moment you say, "It is mine now," with conviction and peace, you align yourself with that invisible reality. And the law of correspondence begins to draw it into visible expression. This law is exact, impartial, and immediate in response to faith. To declare possession is to plant your flag upon the unseen, and to know that all forces of life now conspire to make it visible. The spoken word is the bridge between spirit and form, and when spoken from a consciousness of ownership, it carries the full authority of creation. Acting as if it's already yours means to live from the vibration of completion. It is to move, speak, think, and expect as one who has received, not one who hopes. Hope implies distance. Faith implies nearness. Hope waits for tomorrow. Faith lives in the eternal now. When you act as if you already have the wealth, the opportunity, the success, the peace you desire, you send a powerful decree into the universe that you have accepted the gift. Life, obedient to your belief, adjusts itself to confirm your declaration. Every circumstance begins to bend toward the fulfillment of your word, for creation cannot resist the command of certainty. The inner word is law. It shapes the outer world in its image. To live as though you already have your desire is to dissolve resistance. The one who waits for proof unconsciously delays manifestation, for waiting implies doubt, and doubt is the shadow of separation. When you know that you have already received in spirit, you stop striving, you stop questioning, and your vibration becomes clear and magnetic. The universe rushes to fill that stillness with form. You may not yet see the evidence, but you feel its presence so completely that the outer must conform. You walk through each moment in calm expectancy, knowing that your inner decree has already been fulfilled. The seed planted in the soil does not question whether it will bloom, it simply rests in the certainty of its nature. So too must you rest in the certainty of your possession. Declaring possession means to speak words of completion. Instead of saying, "I want wealth," say, "Wealth is mine now." Instead of, "I wish for success," say, "I move in success and fulfillment now." The word want vibrates with absence. It draws more of the same. The word have vibrates with fullness. It attracts more of its kind. When you speak as if the thing were already done, you lift your thought out of the realm of delay and into the realm of creation. The invisible substance that surrounds you is intelligent, responsive, and immediate. It does not understand waiting. It only knows being. When you say, "I am prosperous," the vibration of prosperity goes forth and gathers its likeness in form. When you say, "I will be prosperous someday," you keep prosperity forever on the horizon. Acting as though it is already yours does not mean pretension or false display. It is not about outer show, but inner alignment. You do not need to force appearances or pretend before others. The true action is inward, the quiet assumption of ownership within the feeling nature. You feel rich, calm, fulfilled, provided for, even before the evidence appears. You bless every possession as though it were already multiplied. You walk through your home and feel gratitude as though every room overflowed with abundance. You speak with the tone of one who knows that every need is met before it arises. This inner state creates a vibration of completion so strong that form must respond. The outer is only the shadow of the inner. It cannot help but reflect what you have already accepted as truth. When you declare possession, you shift your focus from wanting to having, from striving to receiving. Desire says, "It is not yet here." Possession says, "It is here now." The shift may seem subtle, but in the realm of creation, it is the difference between delay and manifestation. The universe mirrors not your words alone, but the feeling beneath them. The feeling of having is magnetic. It draws to itself the likeness of its own completeness. The feeling of lack repels. For it says to the universe, I do not yet have. The wise soul therefore cultivates the feeling of having, allowing gratitude and joy to rise as though the gift were already delivered. Gratitude is the song of possession. It sings of completion long before the eyes behold it. When you act as though it's already yours, you begin to make decisions that align with that reality. You think from abundance, not about it. You move from the consciousness of wealth, not toward it. You release the vibration of desperation and adopt the rhythm of sufficiency. Opportunities appear effortlessly because your inner state is already in harmony with them. You speak and act with quiet assurance, and others respond to that confidence as though they can sense the invisible crown you wear. Every action becomes guided by the consciousness of ownership. You no longer grasp or chase, for the owner does not chase what belongs to him. He knows it will come when needed, for it is already his by law. To live in possession requires unwavering faith in the unseen. The outer world may still seem unchanged, but the true creative act occurs in consciousness. The form always follows the vibration. You may look around and see nothing yet, but within, the law has already begun to move. The delay between the invisible claim and the visible evidence is only the time required for form to align with the word. To doubt during that interval is to uproot the seed before it flowers. The wise gardener waters the soil and waits in peace, knowing the harvest is certain. So too must you hold your inner word steady, declaring each day, it is mine now, it is unfolding perfectly, until the form reveals itself. To declare possession rather than desire is to live as creator, not as beggar. The beggar asks for what he already possesses in potential, unaware that his request is unnecessary. The creator speaks as one who knows that the law responds instantly to recognition. You are not appealing to an external power, you are activating an inner principle. When you declare, you awaken the power within that molds substance into form. The universe, being consciousness itself, responds as reflection to belief. To say, I have it now, is to command the mirror of life to reveal it. The reflection cannot appear before the gaze of knowing. You are the cause, not the effect. The word you speak from conviction sets the entire creative process in motion. In every area of life, this law applies with perfect precision. Declare possession in health, and the body responds. Declare possession in love, and harmony appears. Declare possession in wealth, and channels of increase open. There is no separation between word and manifestation, only the illusion of time. The creative power is instant in its acceptance of your decree. To act as though you already possess your good is to synchronize your vibration with the eternal now, where all things already exist in completion. The infinite knows no future or past, it knows only the perfect present. To live in that present, declaring your good as already complete, is to stand in the creative center of the universe, calm, assured, and magnetic to every blessing that bears your name. Wealth responds to calm assurance and joyful expectancy because the universe is sensitive to the vibrations we emit, and these vibrations shape the invisible currents of supply that flow into form. Calm assurance is the signal that aligns you with the law of abundance. When you move through life with certainty, without agitation or fear, you emit a frequency that the unseen intelligence of creation recognizes and answers. This is not a matter of wishful thinking or passive hoping. It is an active alignment with truth. The calm mind is magnetic because it trusts the unseen law and does not resist or question. Anxiety, worry, and tension, on the other hand, repel the flow of good, creating obstacles where none truly exist. The soul that knows it is already provided for does not scramble. It does not push or pull. It rests in the confident awareness that all good is continuously moving toward it. Joyful expectancy is the twin of calm assurance. It is the inner delight that accompanies faith, the feeling tone that communicates readiness to the universe. Expectancy is the recognition that the good you seek is not in the distance, but already moving toward you. It carries with it a vibration that quickens the arrival of that which is desired. When you expect with joy, you do not demand. You do not strain or fret. You anticipate with delight, and the law responds to delight. Life unfolds in response to your internal state. Those who live in tension or fear create form in accordance with that vibration, manifesting delay, lack, or confusion. Those who live in joyful expectation set the invisible stage for miracles to occur. It is the feeling behind the word that gives it power, and joy magnifies the creative authority of your statement. To cultivate calm assurance, one must trust the inner law of life over appearances. Many look at circumstances, and because they seem temporary or incomplete, they doubt the fulfillment of their desire. Yet the outer is never the measure of reality. It is merely the echo of your inner state. Calm assurance comes when you recognize that supply is infinite, that the unseen is perfect, and that everything required for your good is already in motion. The world may appear to delay, but delay is only a surface condition. It cannot alter the inexorable law that answers to belief. When you hold the inner vision, untouched by outer turbulence, you anchor a vibration that the universe cannot resist. Every opportunity, every resource, every idea aligns in perfect order to reflect your inner calm. The joy that accompanies expectancy is not dependent on circumstance. It is independent of form. You do not wait for the check to arrive, the contract to be signed, or the opportunity to appear before feeling joy. Joy arises from knowing that the law has been set in motion, that the unseen supply is responding, and that manifestation is inevitable. The soul that expects with joy radiates confidence, harmony, and magnetism. People are drawn, doors open, ideas flow, and conditions arrange themselves without effort. The law does not require struggle, it only requires alignment. Joy is the signal of alignment, a conscious tuning to the frequency of abundance. Words spoken from calm assurance and joyful expectancy carry a potency that fear or doubt cannot match. A simple declaration such as "abundance flows to me now" becomes a living current when accompanied by serene conviction and glad anticipation. The universe is sensitive to this tone. It does not respond merely to words, but to the emotional vibration behind them. Words spoken in agitation or worry may sound similar, but their unseen impact is quite different. The law does not deceive. It reflects the exact state of consciousness that is behind the statement. Therefore, cultivating the inner tone is as important as the verbal declaration. Calmness and joy must permeate thought, feeling, and speech to produce the desired manifestation. When you combine calm assurance with joyful expectancy, you create an inner field of receptivity that nothing can disturb. External events may appear to contradict your good, yet the inner vibration remains steady. The waves of supply flow to meet that steadiness, circumventing obstacles and forming channels where none seem to exist. Calm assurance quiets the mental chatter that doubts or fears, allowing the unseen intelligence to operate freely. Joyful expectancy magnifies this alignment, creating a momentum that draws good swiftly and harmoniously. Together, these qualities form a magnetic force, attracting everything that corresponds to your vision and desire. Even in the midst of seeming scarcity, calm assurance allows the mind to focus on what is already abundant rather than what is lacking. The wise soul observes resources, talents, connections, and opportunities as flowing extensions of divine supply. Each encounter becomes a potential channel through which abundance may manifest. When you hold this perspective, the law responds by arranging circumstances that reflect the inner knowing. Challenges appear as opportunities, delays as preparation, and obstacles as stepping stones. The calm mind sees the invisible order and aligns with it, while the anxious mind sees only confusion and scarcity. Joyful expectancy strengthens this alignment by infusing the soul with enthusiasm for the unfolding of good. Anticipation with delight communicates to the law that you are ready to receive without resistance. When you feel joy in advance, you act as though the good has already arrived, creating an inner reality that mirrors the outer manifestation. This expectancy opens the doors of perception, allowing you to recognize opportunities and resources that may otherwise be overlooked. It creates a creative momentum, a subtle yet powerful pull that gathers all necessary elements into place. The universe is drawn to the clarity and lightness of expectancy, for it harmonizes with the law of attraction and the principle of manifestation. To practice calm assurance and joyful expectancy requires discipline of thought and attention. One must deliberately choose to hold the vision of fulfillment regardless of the current evidence. Fear and doubt must be gently displaced by confidence and delight. Each thought, each word, and each feeling should reflect the certainty that all things needed for your prosperity are already moving toward you. This discipline is not harsh or rigid. It is a natural alignment with truth. The more consistently you hold this inner state, the more automatic it becomes, until calm assurance and joyful expectancy are your habitual vibration, your natural way of being. This state of being also changes how you interact with the world. Calm assurance allows you to act decisively, without hesitation or doubt, because your decisions are based on knowing rather than guessing. Joyful expectancy infuses your actions with creativity, enthusiasm, and receptivity, making your presence magnetic to opportunities and support. Others sense your alignment, and circumstances adjust accordingly. You no longer need to force situations or chase outcomes. Instead, you move gracefully in harmony with the currents of life, and the universe responds in kind. Every moment becomes a stage for the practice of these qualities. Each morning, you can begin by affirming your alignment with calm assurance, feeling the truth of infinite supply flowing to you. You can cultivate joyful expectancy by anticipating the arrival of good with delight, imagining and feeling it fully as though it were already present. Thoughts of fear, lack, or limitation are gently replaced with certainty and pleasure. You practice living from the invisible reality of supply, rather than the visible appearance of delay. This inner training produces a consistent, radiant field that attracts wealth, opportunity, relationships, and all good things naturally. The combination of calm assurance and joyful expectancy produces results beyond calculation because it works at the level of consciousness, which is the ultimate creative medium. Form always follows thought and feeling, and these two qualities create a vibration that harmonizes perfectly with the law of abundance. Calm assurance keeps the mind steady and the channel open. Joyful expectancy charges the vibration with magnetic energy. Together they create a current that flows through time and circumstance, arranging events, people, and resources in perfect order. The law of supply responds faithfully, instantaneously, and unerringly to this combined state of being, drawing toward you everything that corresponds to your inner alignment. When you cultivate calm assurance and joyful expectancy, you step out of struggle and into effortless co-creation. You no longer battle against conditions, nor do you negotiate with lack. Instead, you align your inner reality with the infinite, letting the law of life carry your intentions into visible manifestation. Every word, thought, and action becomes an expression of certainty and delight, and the universe mirrors this inner state with perfect fidelity. This conscious alignment with supply becomes a natural way of living, a steady stream of magnetism that draws all good things without strain, delay, or worry.